Welcome back to the City Current Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference and powering the good. And we're honored to be with Jenny Williamson. She's the founder and CEO of Courage Worldwide, and she's also the author of 3 books, including Do You Have the Courage to Be You and Uniquely You. So we're going to talk about human trafficking. We're going to talk about finding your purpose and so much more. But Jenny, how are you doing?
I am great. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So let's start by getting to know you and your story, because that will lead us in all these powerful directions. So give us a little bit of your story and what led you to start Courage Worldwide.
Well, I'll have to tell you, I'm way out here on the West Coast, but I was born in Tennessee. So I feel like I'm virtually home with you guys this morning. So thank you for having me. Probably half my cousins in Memphis are your audience. So, hey, everybody. So I was born and raised in the South and loved my roots in the South, married a guy who needed to come to California for a year. 30 years later, we are still here chasing a grandbaby right now and chasing my purpose. And so, family is super important to me. And that sense of family and being a mom is literally what birthed Courage Worldwide and what birthed this whole organization of helping children who have been trafficked for sex.
And so on your end, from a mission standpoint, it's building homes. And when you talk about you being a mother, understanding obviously the importance of love and nurturing and having a home. And so talk about what you do.
Well, it's just so I'm a simple person and I am a mom at heart. I got lots of other titles that you read these days, but that's truly who I am. And so for me, when my life intersected this issue of human trafficking, what's now called human trafficking, I really don't like that word because it just vanilla and it coats over what's happening to these children. So as a mom, I was just at church one Sunday. I'm a life coach. We're trying to raise my teenage boys. I have 3 boys. And I just, at that moment in time, it's like everything converged. And someone told me I lived in a world where children are sold for sex. And it's like everything stopped. My whole life kind of made sense. And I thought, I don't understand how this can be. How is somebody telling me this? So I'm thinking, well, there must be organizations out there. And this was 15 years ago. I can go join and help. I'm a joiner. I'm going to go, I'm loud and I'm passionate and I'm stubborn. I'm like, I'm just going to go join something. And I just started researching human trafficking organizations. And 15 years ago, we were all in our infancy. I thought this is all taken care of. And when you hear something like human trafficking or homelessness, you think, that's so big. What can I do? And my heart's cry was, I'm just a mom. I got teenage boys. My husband's running a business. We're busy people. But this thing would not let go of me. And I believe in the divine. I believe in purpose. And I'd been kind of searching for mine at the time, thinking, what am I on this planet for? And this issue was it. And so I just started asking questions. I just started doing research. And for anybody who finds herself in a place like I was, like, why am I here? Look at the things that break your heart. Look at the things that make you mad and just start researching. Man, if there's an organization, join it and help. We love volunteers. And if there's not, we started something. And it came from this place of talking to law enforcement, people who knew these kids, just asking questions, sending emails going, what do you need? And I heard the same thing over and over again. They just need a home. Well, gosh, I'm a mom. That sounds easy. How hard could that be? I knew nothing about trauma. I'm so fortunate to say I have a mom and dad still on this planet that loved me madly and came to every ball game I had and didn't get hurt in that physical way or even an emotional way. So I've been so blessed. And I didn't understand trauma and I didn't understand teenage girls, but I understand being a mom. And so for me, I just kept it in a very small focus. And I just kept saying, we'll just build homes then. And we looked in our own backyard. I had an opportunity to go to Africa. Long story, a member of a tribe gave me a building. That's a very long story for another time. But I found myself in Africa, which was a dream of mine. And so we just kept saying yes. We just kept saying yes to, we're going to build these homes and speaking it out loud. And so we keep it simple. We're not going to end human trafficking in my lifetime, probably yours. This thing has been around before the beginning of time. When time started, human beings do things to each other. And so it's like, while I'm on this planet, what can I affect? And we just break it down to one individual at a time, changing the world one individual at a time. And that just keeps your head on straight, kind of gives you a focus. And that's what we do. And that's what we've done.
When you look at now having the homes and being able to impact the youth, how has that changed your mindset on, okay, wait a second, I didn't know what I was getting into, but now I've got it in motion and now it's a calling, a responsibility. And so in other words, it kind of accelerates. Then it's like, okay, wait a second, this really is changing lives. I want to do more. I need to do more. I know you've set some big goals of how many homes you want to have and how many countries and how many, youth impacted. So talk about how it's kind of changed that mindset of accelerating because you're seeing the difference you're able to make.
I think the thing is, we all wish we had a crystal ball. If I would have had a crystal ball, I don't think I'd have started. But sitting where I am right now, I would have been like, it's going to demand too much. It's going to hurt too much. I want to live in my little comfortable bubble. I want to stay where I am. I think for a lot of us, if you ask people who have done anything of significance or impact, and I don't care if that's one-on-one, investing in another human being that maybe not from your culture or your world, or intersecting the lives of people with trauma or addiction, you'd be like, it's too hard to love them. I'm going to stay in my little bubble with my little people who we all speak the same language. I try to explain that to people in California. When you live in the South, we speak the same language, and that's comfortable. But I wouldn't have changed anything in the world, but I don't know if I would have started if I could have seen what the cost was going to be. It's worth it, but if you would have known that up front. And so when you say now, it has become a calling and a responsibility. People always ask when difficult things happen, and there's always challenges. Please, if you're going to undertake anything, it's hard. Just don't let anybody kid you. It's the temptation is to quit and to go back to a comfortable world. But we're back to this one-on-one, when you have the opportunity, the honor, the privilege to have someone share their true story of pain, and they look at you and say, because you said yes, and you can say yes to God, say yes to the calling, whatever the yes was. And for me, the question was, do you have the courage to be you? That was my yes. And to really think, if our lives haven't intersected, they would have remained in the same place. And the way, as a person of faith, the way I think about it is, what if somebody's praying a prayer to God and they're waiting on him, but he's waiting on me? Like, what if I'm the answer to the prayer and I don't move? And I can't tell you how many of these kids say, I prayed for escape. I didn't believe in good humans. I didn't believe anybody cared, because that's the trick of the trafficker. No one cares. You don't belong. No one wants you. And most of their families have proven this true. They've given evidence that the world doesn't care. If your mama and your daddy don't take care of you and provide you a safe home and family, then it's easy to believe no one else in the whole world does. Here I'm sitting with mom and daddy who still thinks I am just the best thing since sliced bread. I've had that my whole life. So then I start to believe that I'm worthy. I start to believe I have value. But if the opposite is true, then that impact is you have no value. And so all this child has is this trafficker saying, but I love you and I'm going to take care. Now there's a cost to that, right? You got to go out and do this for money, but there was a cost to love in most of their families of violence. It doesn't matter if we're talking about Africa. It doesn't matter for here. If you love me, you're going to go prostitute yourself to bring food home. That's literally a real thing. And so there was always a cost associated to love with these kids. And that's how the trafficker works. So I think that's like the biggest thing to me, the very thing that I take for granted, that's at the core of my existence. Surround your people who love you, right? We read all the self-help books, right? Surround yourself with people who value you and tell you you can do it. Well, that's me. I drank the Kool-Aid. I had that. And then to meet another individual who just simply saying, I believe in you, is profound. You begin to realize those of us who have been given much, much is expected. And we just take that for granted. And that has changed me more than anything in the world, is the taking for granted the upbringing and the resources I have that everybody has. So we're all like, oh, well, these people are homeless, or they should go get a job, or they should do this and they should do that. And we have all these shoulds in our life because we were given the resources. And that's our passionate courage, is I'm not going to stop trafficking. I'm not going to stop trafficking, but my life and our organization can intersect a child, and we can say, I really can do nothing about your past. Nothing. What happened to you breaks my heart, and I'm so sorry. But because of that, I'm here. Because of that, I want to give you all the tools that you need to find your purpose. So it's like, we don't, in Africa, people are like, oh, do you teach them a trade? No, we don't teach them a trade. We say, what do you want to be? You want to be a doctor? You want to be a lawyer? Do you want to sew? Well, I don't care what it is. I want you to have the same things. And so we literally believe in these children until they can believe in themselves. And we help restore their childhood. And we just teach them to play again. And then we offer them the tools for healing. I don't have those tools. I'm not a mental health professional, but we give that. And we give an education. You can't learn. You can't sit in a classroom if you've been through this type of trauma. So you have to have special educational services. So it's a lot. It's expensive. It's relationally messy. If you've never been loved before, it's hard to receive love. It's hard to love. But to wait out that process, we're not a program. Nobody graduates. We're literally building homes and being a family, just like our families are to us. And the change part is you can make a difference. As simple and as humble as you think your beginnings are, we really have so many more resources than most people. And entering into that mess, it's scary because you don't know what to say. How are you to answer a child who says, why did this happen to me? When it didn't happen to me? What kind of evidence, what kind of explanation can you give to, it didn't happen once. It didn't happen in trafficking situations. It happened in my family. I don't have any of those answers. And to pretend that we do, it's just dishonoring. And so looking toward the future, being with them in their present pain and trying to help them move forward, it is a calling and responsibility, and you can't quit. That's the bottom line. You can't quit.
Well, how can the community help? Because obviously when you talk about the financial cost, which is steep to be able to do what you do and to provide the resources, the expertise, how can we help?
The first thing I tell people is just educate yourself. If you're sitting here listening to this and like me, you can't breathe, like she's just sitting there talking about children being sold for sex like it's the weather. I got here. Believe me, there's a place you have to compartmentalize and shove this over, or you can't move forward. And so that place of empathy breaks your heart. But to do anything, that you then have to educate yourself. So if you're like, what? I'm in Memphis, I'm in Nashville, I'm in Tennessee, I'm in this area, and you're telling me children are sold for sex here? Yes. Get online. You will see organization after local organization doing work in your area. Pay attention to the children around you. If you are a parent, I can promise you, your child, if they're a junior high or teenager, and sadly some elementary, they know children who are being hurt. They don't realize it. But as a parent, if you open your eyes and you start to see those kids who never have a ride home from school, those kids that are always hanging at your house when it's dinner time, pay attention. You don't have to ask them questions about their trauma. You just can be an adult that sends them that different message that they may be getting at home, that no one cares and no one believes in them. I'm about to be at a wedding where I'm the mom of the groom, and the groom is not my biological son. He was a friend of my son's that I met in the 7th or 8th grade, that didn't have a home to go to, that I just started noticing and became a part of our life. And I'm going to be his mom. I'm going to dance with him at his wedding to have an impact in his life. We all can have impact. Once you hear about an issue that happened to me, I'd never heard about human trafficking. Then I heard it. And now every time I turned around, it was like the God and the universe were like, pay attention to this. If you start asking those questions, what can I do? Where can I be? You could be led all the way to Africa like I was, or you could be led into a kid that's just in your neighborhood. We just have to realize and I never did how very blessed I am. And with those blessings, we have much to give. You can't give away what you don't have. So I had a family, I had love, I have resources, I have all those things that I can give because I've been given them. And if somebody is listening going, oh my God, she knows my story because I hear this over and over again, get the help that you deserve. There are so many resources. It's trauma, it's mental health. It's not you, it's not your fault. But pretending that it didn't happen, you won't ever be who you're supposed to be until you first go on that healing journey. And so that's my encouragement to people that need to go on that healing journey. Take the time, find the resources, and get that healing. And then you too can go and give away what then you have found.
Yeah, that's awesome. Tie that in and give us a teaser on the books. And especially when you talk about, do you have the courage to be you and uniquely you, the workbook, give us a teaser on the books.
Absolutely. The whole journey, the whole human trafficking issue started when I was 40 years old, mom of teenage boys. Life was so good. And I thought, this is it. What's left? Anybody can have babies. I'm not doing anything profound. I have no talent. And I just started asking that question and praying that prayer. What is my purpose? Why am I here? And I would literally hear this question deep in my spirit. Do you have the courage to be you? And I thought, heck no, because I was comfortable. And if you need courage, that means you're going to be scared, and I don't do scared. And so it was just this journey of, who am I? You cannot go do something until you figure out who you are. And so for me, it was like untangling the domestication, as I call it, in our society, of looking like everybody, being like everybody, going to the same church, going to the same school, same country club, same vacation spot. It's the same. We try to morph into each other and we lose ourselves. And so for me, I went on a journey of just remembering the little girl I once was. And she was pretty powerful. She wasn't really domesticated. And I'm thinking, oh, that's who you want me to be. So it's just going back to finding your true identity and what does that mean? And once I knew who I was and remembered who I was, then I had those tools unashamedly, unapologetically of just being me. And in that, I found out there was a lot of kids who needed a stubborn, loud, bossy, strong-willed Southern girl that wouldn't take no for an answer, a mama's heart, and just being true to that and not really caring about much else. And it's led me on an incredible journey of saying, yes, I do have the courage to be, finally.
Well, it's amazing what happens when you say yes, and especially to a calling. So it may be, one of those where you don't know what you're getting yourself into, but you look back and you realize, wow, what a powerful ride just by raising your hand and saying, I want to be a part of the solution. Put me in, coach. So wrap up on your end with website, social media, contact information. Where can we go to learn more and to follow your efforts?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Courage Worldwide is our website. We're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, same as everybody else. My personal is Jenny. Usually there's a T in there for my maiden name, Jenny T. Williamson. On all of the above. Courage World is usually our social media. We're probably most active on Facebook and Instagram, and we share stories of what's happening with our girls, where they came from, in a very private matter. We don't show pictures of faces or names. Some of our girls are in very dangerous situations, but you get to hear their story of where they came from, and that's not the best part. That's just their history, but then what they're doing now. We have girls in college, just making amazing strides, and show you pictures of the campus and kind of what we're doing. Also on the website, we probably do a weekly detailed e-blast. If you want the most news, if you're my age group and you like lots of paragraphs, then sign up for our e-news and you'll be able to really track what we're doing. I'm headed to Tanzania in the middle of July. So there'll be a lot of awesome stories from there, and you can just really keep up with what we're doing. And then we have some Courage Cafes. We're selling coffee, getting some coffee from Tanzania. You'll be able to buy some coffee, help support our girls. And of course, we're a 501c3 and fundraise for donations. So there's so many ways, but just pay attention to you. You have a specific calling. Those of us who have resources, some may not have resources of money, but they have resources of love, contact. You and I were connected by another human being. Listen to that still small voice inside of you and don't talk yourself out of it. That's what we do. We hear this, I should do this. And we're like, no, I can't do that. That's it. That's the voice that you follow, the one that's inside of you. So follow your heart and have the courage to be you.
Well, Jenny, you are an inspiration, a change maker indeed. Thank you for all you and your amazing team do. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you. I look forward to talking to you again.